Hi, hello, and here we are to talk about the astrological forecast for the month of November 2016. Before I start it, I am going to recommend that you go back and you look at the one for September and October as well, because they're kind of building up to November. And I can't repeat everything I said in September and October because that'll take the whole of the whole of November's forecast as well. So if you just go back and there's some quite interesting information in there, and it will help you understand what's happening this month. Okay, so let's get on with it. Right, well, the first thing to understand is that the sun is already in Scorpio. So we have an atmosphere around us which is very brooding and magnetic and sexual and ripe for all kinds of intrigue and sex. This is a great month for sex. I'm going to be talking about sex, imagine that. I'm going to be covering some of the key highlights, or the stuff that we want for our personal lives, saying a little bit about the general atmosphere for November. And then right at the end, if you're interested in spiritual stuff, I'll be talking about universal spiritual concepts as well. So you might want to hang on for those if that's your thing. Okay, so let's start with the fact that November starts with endings. Yes, endings. We have a new moon in Scorpio right at the beginning, which is usually about new beginnings. But I just want to remind you all that endings are actually about beginnings, because you can't have an ending without a beginning. If you think about the leaves falling off the trees, for instance, as they are in the northern hemisphere now, as the leaf falls off the tree, have a look at that twig, because behind it you'll see a tiny little bud, and that is the beginning of next year's twig. So it needs that leaf to fall off for that little tiny bud to be revealed. And that's what nature has within it all the time, the endings and the beginnings. And actually it's amazing that Scorpio falls during this season, when in the northern hemisphere we're seeing such change and transformation. Okay, you get that in the southern hemisphere too, the other way around. So I guess we could pretty much label this whole thing as transformation and just say your season is changing. And this is very much about what Scorpio is all about. And now I'm going to be giving you some hot tips here, some hot tips for a night of amazing passion. So get ready to write this date down, because it is most definitely the hottest night of the year and you don't want to miss it. We're looking at Sunday the 13th of November. And the reason we're looking at that is because it's the approaching full moon, which highlights the stuff that we're interested in, I hope. So at that point, we will have the moon in Taurus and we will have the sun in Scorpio. And you can't get anything more sensual and passionate and tactile than this combination. So how about some tips? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a few tips of how to make this night even more steamy and passionate. So the first thing we've got to remember is both of these signs, Taurus and Scorpio, are about a significant other and about how we feel about that. But it's also about physical things. It's also about the touching and the stroking and the feeling. It's about tantra, or tantric sex, if you like. And so this sensuality is what you should be looking for and looking to create an environment for on that Sunday night. So you're looking to use things like beautiful soft lingerie, chocolate, why not? Anything tactile, so soft fabrics, perfumes. Don't forget the olfactory sensors in the nose. This is a great turn on for them, especially at this time of the year and especially on this night. So you're going for an intensity of arousal. You're going for very physical stuff. So words and discussions as a foreplay, I'm afraid, aren't going to cut it. This is not about talking this night. This is simply about soaking up the atmosphere, getting into the feeling, and getting a real sense of lust and passion. And it should pay off handsomely, I have to say. It could renew your sex life. So don't forget, not about words, all about touching and stroking, and the tactileness or the tactility. I don't know which the word is there. Being tactile, that's the name of the game. So get ready for that one, hey folks. In the meantime, let's go back to the fact that this time of the year is all about transitions and endings and beginnings. Now, right at the beginning there, I said we start with endings, and I was quite right, and I want to just cover that a little bit, because let's look at what an ending is, first of all. We're all so scared of endings, aren't we? We're all so scared of losing something. But let's look at the type of ending that could be right for us. I'm always saying, imagine all your boyfriends still tied to your ankles as you go forward with your life. Do you really want all that lot around you? No. So the endings of those relationships, which were probably sad at the time, when you look at back with hindsight, you can see that actually it was probably the best thing for you, and that you went on and you did something much better, met a much better bloke as a result of it. So if something has to end right at the beginning of November, I want you to see it as the right thing. The cosmos knew it. Whatever ends at that point, it ended because you couldn't take it forward with you. It ended because it had had its life. The sell-by date was past. The shelf life had finished, and it can whatever ended can move on to create and to be something different, something new. Now, I will just reiterate that if things go on to the rocks right at the beginning of November and they survive it, then this means that whatever survived was meant to be with you, and it will be deeper and it will be stronger as a result. This now has deep, long legs because it's gone through the experience of being tested. This is a very testing period, and it survived that testing. Now, if it survived that testing, then it's kind of concrete at that point. All right, you go on to the next milestone. There'll be another testing further along the line. That's what life's all about. But the fact that it survived is great. If something didn't survive, let it go. You can't keep all the supermarket packaging in your house. I'm always saying that too. Let it go. Put it out for recycling. Gain from the experience. Walk on. Have a reading with me. We'll discuss what's in your future as a better way. Rather than trying to cling to something, which clearly the cosmos is saying, hey, you know, this needs to be put to one side because we've got something much more exciting in the future. So allow the endings, go for the new beginnings. The great thing about this time of the year is it's all about transition and change. So if you're going for something new, then you're encouraging the energy into transformation and change. It's all about cycles on the wheel. So if you're on the down bit of the wheel, it's all about that transition so that you can pick up on something new. And keep this energy with you, transformation, change, because this is the greatest time to do it. The sun in Scorpio, the zodiac sign of Scorpio, really understands the breaking down of something, the decomposition of something. It really understands it must decompose, it must transform, it must move on. So we get opportunities for milestones, and if we invest in those now, then we're really working with the energy. So Scorpio energy is all about a deep knowledge and mastery of the unconscious. Scorpio works very deep down in the underworld of our existence, in the invisible realms, those deep channels in the archetypal collective unconscious. Starting to sound really kind of serpent-like now. Imagine Harry Potter with that serpent in the underground cavern. Or what's that opera, Phantom of the Opera, where the phantom lurks in the underground of the theatre. This is the sort of Scorpio world that we should be imagining right now. So Scorpio is about being very sexual. You cannot get away from this. It is a sexual energy. And it's intense and it is very strong-minded. It's a formidable energy. It seeks to transform through penetration and a deeply felt connection. So this is what you've got around you. Run with these energies now. Listen to them with your gut. The head isn't going to be much use this month. Analysing, I'm not so sure that you will be able to verbalise. It's more about feeling your way at the moment and that kind of puts us onto a back foot. We have to use different sensors, if you like, to the ones that we've been using in October. So go for transformation of self on a deep level, or transformation with another, or maybe helping another to transform. This is all good stuff. What you're looking for is working towards the process of alchemy. There are so many of you out there who understand this process, this spiritual process from the old alchemists. I know that you like to hear this stuff. This is the time for your alchemy. This is the time for the burning, when everything is in the pot and it's burning and it's being transformed as it sits in that pot, the Negrado. Okay, so the sexual act. Let's just look at the sexual act for a moment, because we can't avoid it. The sun's in Scorpio. Look at the potential for new life in the sexual act. I mean, the death of the sperm and the death of the egg happens when they become one new entity. Then we have the birth of that single cell at the moment, which is actually going to be a whole new human being and a whole new life. Now, if you think about Scorpio and it being in charge of that process, both the sexual urge, the attraction, and then the sperm reaching the egg, the death of both things, the transition into a unity, into one thing that is going to grow, then you're kind of getting the amount of change and the amount of difference that this deeply magnetic, underground, quiet, non-verbal sign is all about. This is a metaphor for change on a very deep level. Scorpio is all about magic, invisible magic. You think about the serpent magic from the Bible, then you're kind of along the right vein. It's magical, for instance, that transformation of anything can take place, and this is the sign that works with this. Scorpio works best in the dark. It needs no light to feel its way. Scorpio doesn't like flashy stuff or dramatic stuff. It doesn't like obvious stuff. It just likes to be stealthy, almost invisible. It likes to x-ray from a distance. There's a cloak of invisibility which hides Scorpio's world. We also get with Scorpio things like crisis and triangles, affairs. All of these things create passion and they create intensity. And this is what Scorpio wants. Beneath the surface, not on the surface, it wants intensity and it wants passion. It wants to know that somebody gets us deep down inside, that we get that intense feeling of passion and that no words need be spoken. This is what Scorpio's all about. Aha! So we're in for a very hot month, aren't we? But don't forget, Sunday the 13th of November, get your chocolate sauce ready, get your sexy lingerie ready, get your suspenders and whatever else. I don't know what they're called in America, so I better not carry on with that. I might be saying something offensive, I have no idea. It was for the people in the UK. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about the origins of the universe. So I'm coming to the end, but I just want to say some stuff about this because we're getting a lot of movement at the moment, and I want you to think about let's think about Adam and Eve, actually, out of the Bible, because we're told that they live in the Garden of Eden and they have a tree of consciousness and everything's bright and lovely, and at this point they don't need sexual contact. They're all innocent and everything. But then guess what? The serpent, Scorpio, whispers into Eve's ear and beguiles Eve, and Eve beguiles Adam with the apple, and the obvious happens. And when God finds out that they have copulated, then he ejects them and bans them from the Garden of Eden. This is such a scorpionic story, and it's got everything in there. It's got lust, it's got betrayal, it's got passion, it's got everything. And here we're looking at kind of the origins of the universe, really, put into a little story. Because what I'm thinking about here is the emitter and the receiver, the heavenly marriage. And what I want to do then is I want to look at that in terms of the earth and the sun. Now we have been getting a lot of information for the last 7 years actually, about the sun and the sun's effect on the earth from some scientific instruments that we have now in space called SOHO. And what we understand now is that there are a couple of things happening. We're getting something called reconnection events, which happen from the sun to the earth. So magnetic field lines carry intense amounts of high energy particles which are pumped into the earth via the poles, either the North Pole or the South Pole, and inject the earth with an incredible amount of energy. Now you can see the results of this because this is the aurora borealis, either pole. We've been getting quite a lot of these just recently, and I'm seeing this. Forgive me if I'm offending people, but I'm seeing these auroras some kind of orgasmic treat to the earth. That the sun sends this amazing energy, and the earth dances in delight, and we see all these lights and everything flashing. You've got to see a similarity. Sorry, the sun's in Scorpio, you know. Forgive me, forgive me. But we have those, but we also have something called flux transfer events. I couldn't remember it. FTEs, flux transfer events. And so we now know that every few hours, a portal, a magnetic portal, is opened up, and hundreds of tons of high energy particles are transferring into the Earth's atmosphere, and then the portal closes again. Now, we've got all kinds of spiritual mythology around the heavenly marriage, the emitter and the receiver, the masculine and the feminine. And at this time of year, I think it's a great time to consider this and consider the sexual act that is carried out by human beings, and then put that metaphor into the sun and the earth, the penetration of the earth's, the penetration of the sun's light into the earth, how that sunlight penetrates the earth, and then the earth becomes fecund and able to bring new life into existence. You won't get grass growing or vegetation growing without the penetration of the sun's light. Nothing grows in the dark. And so we get a metaphor really there of the heat and the passion and the intensity of the sunlight, and the receptiveness of earth, and how the earth nurtures that. And all right, in the northern hemisphere, actually we're watching the dying, but it's a time to think about that whole process, actually, and to consider the huge sensuality and the huge sexuality of the universe, and how it works, and then how we are blessed with bodies where we can enact that, and where we can be passionate with another. We are so blessed to be here and to have these bodies and to delight in this life. And I think these are the things that kind of like we should think about. We cast them off too easily, and maybe we should just be more aware and grateful and thankful of what we are capable of doing. Okay, that was all pretty intense. Well, it was supposed to be, wasn't it? It's November and we have the sun in Scorpio. Now, for the rest of the month, going back to personal stuff, we are really cleaning up and processing all the stuff that happened in September and October. We've got more of the same, really, which is why I was saying to listen to the 2 previous videos on YouTube. But we've got the opportunity to work with this energy a lot more now, to take it down internally into our inner scape, and to process it and to refine it and to polish it and to make it into something of magnificent personal growth. This is the time of the transformation, and so really you can move inward and brood and think about this stuff and move it forward. Now, if you want to have a reading with me to do that, then now is a great time, and it will be pretty intense. I hope I'm able to kind of like verbalize it and articulate it, but it's a great time to do it. I hope that was useful, and I look forward to speaking to you in December. November. I can't. Where's the year gone? What happened to 2016? It all went whiz. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you very much for listening.